Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben, and I'm here with Dylan and Brian to talk about episode 4 of Survivor 47. And it's a pretty good episode. Yeah.
Great episode.
Yeah,
I'm
Derek
back.
said it was a banger. It brought Dylan back. He's like, I only cover top tier episodes now, which is understandable. I loved this episode. I loved meeting Genevieve for the first time, becoming aware of the fact that she's on the show. That was great. Apparently, she's a really aggressive, like decent Survivor player, at least to make one move in the pre-merge. Like, that was really fun. Don't know why they were like, we're not gonna give her any confessionals for the first 3 episodes, but I'm glad she's here now, and I'm excited for what she's gonna bring in the future.
I'm declaring Survivor as back as it's ever going to get in terms of like
Ooh.
entertainment value and all that. I think maybe when we get season 50 with a lot of returnees, I think maybe we might see a little bit of a different beast. But I think what the game's at right now, I think this is like towards the top tier of what we're going to get. I'm really enjoying it. It's the entire last like 30 minutes of the episode were so captivating. Maybe the most captivated I've been with a Survivor episode recently. I'm officially labeling Survivor as back as it is ever going to be. I really enjoyed it. We have a lot of players on this season, a lot of people that are playing hard, which is great, because my biggest complaint previous seasons, a lot of people were sitting back and afraid to make these moves. I don't necessarily know. I don't think if this move for Genevieve is a winner's move, as many dramatic people on the Reddit are saying, the Reddit that I hate, that this was
a little early.
maybe the beginning of her,
maybe
the beginning of her winner's arc, but this is not the winning move. Nothing done pre-merge can ever be a winning move, in my opinion. But I loved it. It is back. Everybody I know watches it is loving it. It's just we have our villain of the season, even though I think that he's kind of like he's like a B-list like Batman villain, where I think he has such a goofy element to him. Obviously, we're talking about
who's Rome. I want to touch on that, Dylan. Who is Rome in the
Rome? Polka Dot Man, maybe.
Polka Dot Man, Jesus Christ.
Which I will say,
Penguin's in zeitgeist right now.
That is
Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man stole the show in the newest Suicide Squad.
That's true. So. That's very true as well.
But no, I love it. It's great. It's. I feel like we're on such a consistent track too. I mean, we're going on a full. Almost a year at this point of us saying that Survivor is doing really well. Even some of the new things introduced this episode that we'll talk about, like with the amulets, I think it's not nearly as in the way. The show has gotten out of its own way, which I think is so good, and I think the editing is fantastic. We'll talk about that later too. I think we're on such a good track right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think this shows, finding a new, I can't say second win because like it's had so many wins over the course of its life, but it does remind me a little bit of the early 20s, where it's like the post heroes versus villains, very similar now, post winners at war. Like it's got to find its footing. It's got to reinvent itself a little bit. I'm a big South-Pacific defender, but I know most people aren't. So, but like Nicaragua, Redemption Island, South Pacific, One World, and people aren't that high on it. Then Philippines comes, incredible. Caramoan, I enjoy. Not a lot of people enjoy it, but then like Blood versus Water, Cagayan, San Juan del Sur, just all bangers, all in a row. And like, I think that's kind of where we are right now, where it's like it found its footing post-COVID, post like being shut down for COVID. Tried some things, tried Redemption Island back then, tried the journeys and the, various twists and turns, Mergatory. And now we're at this point where it's like, okay, we figured out what works, we figured out what didn't work, and we're able to kind of get more to like a baseline entertaining Survivor. And it's of course helped out by the extra half hour. I mean, with the extra half hour, we can do the kind of bullshit stuff that Jeff loves to throw in there without it getting in the way of like the interesting interpersonal dynamics. And I think this show's in a really good spot, and I don't ever want to go back to our episodes, you know.
I think we've talked endlessly about how like 90 minutes is the sweet spot, I think, for Survivor episodes. Like 2 hours we've found is too long. 1 hour in hindsight seems too short, especially with how much crazy shit's going on with journeys and like advantages and idle hunts and all of that. Like 90 minutes is perfect. The episodes, I've not found that a 90-minute episode has ever felt too long to me. The only episode that ever felt too long to me was last season, where we had a 2-hour episode for episode I think 2. And that to me solidified like, okay, 2 hours for a non-premiere, finale is too long. 90 minutes is perfect. And yeah, I agree. This episode is probably one of the like top 3 to 5 episodes for me in the new era. Really, really solid. I had very little to complain about. Rome is like we've hemmed and hawed for a few seasons now, especially after that interview that Jeff did about new era villains and like whether the show can like produce a villain that's like compelling. I'm very much enjoying Rome so far as a villain. He's like he's doing shitty things, but within the confines of the game. So he's not like outwardly a shitty person the way other villains have in the past been, but he's like unabashedly like so full of himself and so like aggressive within his gameplay, and like delusional, I would say, as well. And I think it works. I think that this is kind of where you want to see a villain, and I think he is delusional in the level of game he's playing. But one, it's worked so far, partially because he's found 2 advantages in 3 episodes. And 2, he, I think, is at least self-aware that he is playing the villain role to a degree. He's called himself the godson to Boss and Rob's godfather. He at least has to know that Boss and Rob, as the godfather, was a bit of a villain. And he knows the role he's playing to a degree. So I think for those reasons it works for me. And I think it's also very clear that he's not winning the season, and so it's a lot easier to buy
in. I found myself for the first time in a very, very long time being very disappointed we didn't get that satisfactory vote out with Rome this week, but also at the same time I'm very grateful that we get to have another week of Rome providing that entertainment value. I also think that I agree. I don't think that Rome really has any shot at winning unless something clicks and changes, which we've seen, maybe not to the extent of a player like Rome, but we've seen people kind of do a big kind of like eye-opening, let me change my ways type thing with Survivor. Not necessarily for somebody that wins, but I can see potentially maybe a path of Rome going far. It depends when we get our merge coming up, but Lavo is such an interesting tribe at this point, because each week I feel like I'm kind of bouncing back and forth of who I think is on top of that tribe. I think Rome has done such a really good job of, whether delusionally or he is doing it purposely, of flexing his advantages and proving that he is loyal to those that are loyal to him, to an extent that it seems like a lot of people haven't, especially Teeny. I know we're very high on Teeny on this podcast, and I'm still very high on Teeny after this week, even though I think that she made a few mistakes. Even Teeny, seemingly, it really hasn't been an option to anyone to go after Rome. And they've kind of been allowing Rome to run wild and free. And I think now they're starting to realize maybe that wasn't the best idea now that we get a little bit closer to the merge. I am very, very grateful Saul is still in this game, because I love Saul. Saul seems to be somebody that is like universally loved. I don't necessarily know what his game moving forward is going to be, but something about his like personality is both incredibly relatable, and I think that he is just kind of like a breath of fresh air. He seems sort of like an old school casting type. That's not an original thought of my own. Once again, the Reddit that I don't like to go on, I go on it for like 6 hours a day now. That is a point that I saw brought up there that I really agreed with. I just think that the dynamic overall of that tribe is very, very good. I'm still incredibly high on Teeny. I think that she mismanaged giving away her vote. We can kind of go into more into that later, but I still think that she is in a good enough position after this vote that I think that she is still, if I had to choose one person making it out of this tribe to get to the merge, it is still her. But man, Genevieve really kind of just flipped that tribe on its head this week. And it was, I mean, I found myself upset at Genevieve because I really wanted Rome to go home, but at the same time, she played that so well. She flushed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, she flushed out the steal a vote, which I think was going to get played no matter what. And she also gained Rome's true loyalty, but also basically put the move on Rome to allow him to think that he made it, even though that was all her. I think she played that very, very well. Whether I was happy the person that got voted out was voted out or not.
I think as well she picks up Saul here. We see in the confessional, like the one real like strategic confessional that Saul gives in terms of him analyzing position in the game. He takes the like olive branch that Genevieve hands to him in the one-on-one conversation she has, and she's like, okay, well at this point she's the only one that's really trying with me. I have to be loyal to her, right? So I don't know. I think Genevieve probably comes out of this episode with like it kind of a fulcrum of like a like a triad almost. I think it would be insane if her game falls apart at this point. I think she's in it for a long haul. But I also came into this episode thinking that Keyshawn was in the best spot on the Lavo tribe, and obviously that did not work out. And he was able to kind of play himself out of the game here, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I don't really have any issue with what Genevieve did. I think it was pretty, like it was exactly what you expect somebody to do when they're staring down the barrel of a bad position. Is flip the social structure on its head so that you're in a good position.
I still don't this day and age know why people are so afraid to fall on the decoy sword with these votes. I guess like obviously you're worried about Saul playing his shot in the dark, but like Saul's vote is not going to be on Genevieve or Teeny. At that point, his vote was going to be on Rome if he plays his shot in the dark. So I don't know if her worry is that her tribe-mates are going to flip on her, or Keyshawn's worry, would be that they flip on her. But I think that the hesitancy, I get why Genevieve was upset. I don't understand the hesitancy of Keyshawn. I know in the moment you do that, you don't want to say your name, but like I think when you step back and look at it, there's really like, if you trust your alliance, being the one to fall on the decoy sword, really kind of has like no negative value unless you're anticipating they have an idol or they're going to play their shot in the dark. Which at this point, I don't think the idol was even something to be considered because they knew that Rome had it, kind of like the meta knowledge of what's going on in the game. That one thing they've been consistent with is that they're just keeping one idol active at all times, pretty much until we get to the merge. I agree. I think Keyshawn played his way out of the game. I think it's not like it's a blindside, but not a blindside to the fact that like, oh, we got rid of the best player on the team. I think Keyshawn had a tough episode. Like I said, I think Teeny didn't have the greatest strategy coming back to this, but I also think that in a selfish way, she kind of knew she was never really going to be the option anyway. I think she sold that relationship with Saul. She obviously trusted Keyshawn. I think she thought she was solid enough with Rome and Genevieve. She wouldn't be the option, but it's an eye-opening move. It's an eye-opening event for Teeny too, at this point, because now she kind of realizes, this is the game. I think a concern you could have with Teeny, her being very young, like you saw how much she liked Asia and how much she didn't want to get rid of her. I think that she can potentially be influenced. I don't think she's a pushover, but she can be influenced enough that it could affect her game. And hopefully this is an event that allows her to kind of pivot away from letting that happen moving forward. Because something about Teeny, my gut feeling is that she's the winner of this season. I didn't really have that until last week. Kind of like what I know I wasn't on this episode last week, so apologies for kind of bringing up the events from that. But I think the way that she was able to kind of manage Rome and getting Asia out while also not voting for her, I think it was really well done. And like something about her just has a winner's arc on it. But then again, with previous seasons, are sometimes that winner's arc you get early on isn't really there come merge.
Yeah, so I'm glad you feel that. Obviously, she's my winner pick. I think she's fucked, unless there's a swap. Personally, I think the not voting for Asia is a bad move. You just got to vote how you say you're going to, and if you can't do that on the very first vote when you've known people for no time, like that's bad. You voted for someone who's still in the game that maybe you could have worked with, who's you know going to be less inclined to work with. Granted, Saul doesn't have a lot of options, but like it felt more like Teeny wanted to be on Rob as a podcast than win Survivor by voting for Saul. I think also in this episode, being the one going to tribal and being the one to back down on that idol journey is also bad. She's the one person to be like, I'm not doing it. I have to vote. I have no idea what's happening at camp. I have no info right now. I can't risk going back to camp without my vote. Sorry, you two figure it out. Either we're all going to lose our votes or, we're all going to have this. But like, if I'm going to lose my vote this round anyways, like you're just screwing yourself for whenever you guys go to tribal next. Like she's the only one who could have held her ground and she didn't do it, which I thought was bad. Not that it would have mattered based on how the votes went, but I think, she's playing like a little people pleasing and not selfish enough in my mind to be a winner at this point. And maybe her number one ally getting voted off and being blindsided will wake her up, and maybe she'll get swapped into a better position to where now she can be untethered to anyone on her starting tribe in a way of being like, you all blindsided me, I'm doing whatever I want, and they won't hold it against her. But I think I've been disappointed with her game, especially in this episode, where I was like, let's see what she does after the last episode, but I don't love what she did. And then this episode just made me not feel like she was in a good spot at all. So it's, but I could be wrong. Like, I'm happy that you feel the opposite because, like I said, she's my winner pick. I want her to do well.
When I sit back, the reason why I think, especially out of this vote, she kind of comes in. She comes out of this completely with no blood on her hands too, which is why I still think. I mean, they're obviously down to 4. The most we can get down to is what, 2 with this tribe, hypothetically, if we just keep going, right? Can they get down below
3?
Well, there is hypothetically, right? If we're doing a Murgatory of 13, there's like a theoretical twist that's happening next episode that they tease in the preview. All she has to do is not go to the next tribal, right? Yeah. So like, there's a 2 out of 3 chance that like Teeny's at the Murgatory. So
right.
The one bonus she comes out of with this week is that she was never really part of any of the conversations, and because she was not there, she was not part of the conversations. I don't think Genevieve would have brought up to her voting out Keyshawn anyways, but she wasn't part of the conversation to get out Rome because Genevieve, when she was there, that was Keyshawn there with Genevieve. She was not there. She was not there with like. Her wanting to vote out Saul or her being like part of a group to vote up Saul, it's kind of just like that was what the majority was going to do at that point. So I hope that Saul doesn't dock her on that, because clearly once she came back from the island and realized that there was a path to keeping Saul, she was all for it. I don't know. Now you're making me nervous, Brad. Now you're making me think I need to go back and rewatch the game tape.
The only people who she's in good with are drinking cocktails at Ponderosa. Like, she doesn't have any inroads on her own tribe.
I still think her and Genevieve, and maybe I'm misreading it, I still think her and Genevieve are fine. And I think naturally Rome has no reason to want to go against her. She voted for Saul last time, which was basically which was the plan at one point. I think
Rome does, because she knew Keyshawn's plan and didn't tell him. Genevieve did.
But she wasn't there when Keyshawn came up with that plan.
No, but when
I guess after the
he
fact,
got told it, and then we saw Genevieve tell Rome, and he was like, "Does Teeny know this?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like, I'm sure Rome is like, "Oh, well, okay. Teeny wants to vote me off. Like, I guess I'm not close with her anymore."
Well, Roman in confessional explicitly says that he's like basically done with Keyshawn and TD at that point,
which I don't blame him.
You're right.
For all of Rome's faults, I don't know if I'm frozen on the screen. If you guys can still hear me, I'll just keep talking. My computer did a weird crash thing. For all of Rome's faults, he has been honest with these people, and he's shared his advantages with them, and he's only worked to be in the best interest of who he considers his allies. And yeah, the way he's doing it is shitty, like following Saul around and making him feel bad. But he hasn't done that to Teeny or Keyshawn, and he's only been honest and done what he said he's going to do with them. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree. I think Roman's obnoxious but honest and loyal. I would say almost to a fault. I'd say like I would say his horrible social skills are hiding his like lack of ability to be proactive in a strategy even, and like his strategic instincts are like almost as bad as his social instincts. And if he didn't have Genevieve kind of like hand holding him through this episode, he would be gone.
Kind of to rewind a little bit too. I mean, now I'm aboard the Teeny is going to lose train. I've been talking.
I mean, she still has outs. She's just in a bad position right now because
it's all depending on getting to the merge.
Yeah, she has nothing. She's going to have to rebuild anything.
I still think giving up your vote when you know you're going to tribal that night is insane. It was irresponsible, and I think not necessarily a misjudgment of her place on that tribe. I think it was just an overall complete misjudgment of that. And that's part of the concern too, is maybe she's not fully ready to kind of be like the killer of Survivor, you know, the kind of like the killer instinct you need to win at that point of like, you're going to tribal that night. These other people, literally you have the ultimatum of like, hey, I want to get this too. I'm going to tribal tonight. I'm not putting up my vote. You can choose not to put up your vote. We'll all lose votes anyway. But either way, I'm not going to voluntarily put up my vote. She did it too easily. And she was the one that was like, everybody turned to her. Andy. I love Andy. By the way, we'll get into Andy. I love Andy. Keep him around as long as possible. Two people who were not going to tribal that night. Basically, they didn't necessarily bully her into taking hers, but there was no resistance at all from Teeny. And like I said earlier, that is probably like a worrisome part of her game, is that now maybe she's on a track of potentially she's following at this point. She's not necessarily going to be leading, which you can win that way, but you have to divert at a certain point. And hopefully for her, that path will still be there once she can get out of this and get to the merge. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, with the whole journey thing, I think that like the solution to this dilemma is like super obvious to me, at least, right? Like one person has to get screwed, or everybody's getting screwed. So like, just randomize it. Just all agree beforehand. Draw rocks, draw sticks, draw paper scissors, whatever. Just randomize it. You know. Then like, does it suck for the person who like draws the short stick? Yeah, but like that's like the fair way to do it. You don't have to like have this like stupid argument. You don't have to have somebody, you know, be a martyr. Like it's such an easy solution, in my opinion.
It's just specifically in hindsight too, because I think in the moment I was like, whatever, because I wasn't really fully convinced that the whole Keyshawn blindside was going to happen. But now in hindsight, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to know you're going to tribal that night and you're giving up your vote, because we've said it before. Literally having your vote is kind of like your last like ability to do anything for yourself. And I think giving that up for an idol that you're not going to be able to even use for at least one more tribal is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, she obviously she didn't know what it was, but like the worst part is like the one time she's gone to vote where you do like prove your word, she did not do what she said she was gonna do. So it's already like, what do you do? Like, what are you doing? I don't understand her game. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But can we talk about how like this is probably the worst like journey thing to get? Like, the only other time they've done like a similar thing was like a secret. No one knew you were going there as like part of the first challenge, but like these three people now have public, not idols, but like 1/3 of idols, and every single person in the entire game is gonna know that they have them.
Well, they did it on the journey on 45 as well with the sandwiches,
Okay.
right?
Oh, right.
With,
Yeah.
with Kelly and Maya and Austin.
Yeah. Like this is bad. This is really bad.
Well, it's the problem. It's the problem of not like I don't think anybody. No one's ever been high on the journey, right? No one's ever been like, let's keep the journey going to the separate island part in this game. Like unless it's something like an exile island, no one's ever been like, this is awesome. Let's keep this in. And I think because everything else around the show right now is going so well, but why do we keep doing this? Because now it's at a point where whenever you go there, your entire team knows you either have to give your vote or you're getting some sort of advantage or something. Or even if it's just eating, you're getting some sort of advantage, whether you give your vote or not. Everybody knows that. So, you can't knock them for coming back to the island and showing what you have, because you can either say you lost your vote and didn't, which like for me personally, I'd be like, I lost my vote. Sorry, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't lose my vote, like I feel like that's the only move. But for them, I don't know if it's because other people now have the knowledge of what you did that you have to come back and you have to say it. I don't know, but I do think that like it's such a negative impact to games now going to that island. Has there ever been anyone that's gone to the island and got something that has like been able to push them towards the end of the game? I don't think so.
No, I can't think of anything that was particularly great.
And even if there was, there's nobody you can go back to be like, wow, thank God they went on that journey to that island because that saved their game. There's nobody that we can go back to like that.
And the only time it's like been a thing where it's like, oh, this person might be able to save their game is like Emily doing that challenge and losing. And it's like, oh, I guess not.
Well, the challenge that she didn't she neglected to do. She didn't.
Right. She didn't even lose it. Yeah. So it's just like, okay.
But we talked at the time. The challenge was undoable. So like, she was smart to not do it. But
Yeah. It's just like I just feel like I don't even know how you play possibly around this. Is this something you can give to someone? Is this just for you forever? Like,
I think it's got to be non-transferable, right? The whole premise of it wouldn't really work if it was transferable.
Right. Yeah. So it's just like a target for when everyone's sitting around and it's like, God, who do we vote off tonight? Well, this person has something that could become an idol. Maybe we think about voting them out. And then it's just like, yeah, that works. It's going to work out great for one of them, I guess. One of them will get an idol out of it. How early in the game, we'll see.
The only reason I feel like it is transferable is in a situation where somebody who thinks they're going to be voted out gives it up to a close ally just in case they are voted out. Because when it wasn't specifically said, whether or not they could transfer it. So at least it makes me wonder if there could be a situation where somebody's voted out, but they gave it to somebody else. Nobody else knows that. Two people go to try to use it, and maybe just like, oh, sorry, can't use it. We need the third. And they're like, oh, who's the third?
That would be a fun moment.
Fun.
Yeah, but I think it would also be kind of stupid.
You would also. You also need like so many stars to align for like the only maybe good scenario to happen out of that too. So I don't know. I agree. It's probably not transferable, but unless we're specifically told it's not, it's who knows.
What do we think of like, so like they basically want to be like, it's an idol that you have to agree on, but then it's only a normal idol. What do you think of like all three of them get an idol? They can use it, maybe not all the way down to the final five because that would create a potential situation.
Maybe
where
the merch.
The merch, yeah. But then if someone gets voted off, then it becomes the idol from Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty 2, where you can play it after the votes if you combine it. And if that doesn't work, then it becomes, the Kagayan God Idol, like something to like more incentivize, the
I was
voting off,
I was surprised we did get our first good until Final Five idol though with Sue.
Yeah, getting the idol second is the sweet spot here.
Mhm.
I know she covered herself in paint and all that, and like, people are on to her, but like now she just has an idol, straight up regular. She has an idol.
It's almost insulting to like the Gabe, Sam, and Romes of the world how difficult it was for them to get an idol good for one tribal council, and for Stu it was like, oh, here is a map. Go like right over there and just cut that vine, and then you have an idol.
Yeah. So can we talk about that scene for a second too? Because Tuco as a whole, I'm like, Tuco as a whole. I mean, it's not their fault because we haven't spent a whole lot of time with them. Tuco as a whole is a very uninteresting tribe to me.
Yeah.
At this point,
it doesn't seem of the three.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like there's anybody on that tribe, at least as of right now, that it's going to make a lot of noise moving forward. Maybe it's oddly enough, maybe Sue is the only person I can think of that can. I don't know if it was just me. That entire thing felt so forced. And I know we've talked about like people see the camera crews like going to follow someone or something like that, and it's almost like a way for them to know. But we've seen so many other situations where people come so much faster than that. And Sue had an entire time to clean up like a murder scene, to wash herself up. I mean, just the whole scene itself where they go. I think it's Tiana and what's the other player's name? Carolyn. Where they go to her. Something about it just seems so forced. And I'm not accusing Survivor of being scripted, but something about it just seemed very like, hey, go over there and see if you notice anything, like type thing. I don't know.
I just think she must have just taken a really long time to do that. And it just happened. What the funny part of the scene to me is like, in that whole time, she didn't come up with any like cover story.
Just go to the water.
Yeah, just go to the
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why she was pouring well water onto her hands when the ocean is like 20 feet away.
Yeah,
so stupid.
I would just say, like, you don't have to clean it up. Get the idol, go into the ocean. People see that something, and you can be like, "That's crazy. I don't know what that's about." You don't have to cover it up.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends how well you can wash up, right? Because otherwise, you're like the meme of the guy in the hot dog costume or whatever it was.
Yeah. We're all trying
to find out who the guy who did this. As you're covered in red paint.
I literally, the first thing I would have did would hide the idol and get into that water. I'd take the idol into the water with me and wash it off.
Oh yeah, wash it all off. Get it as much as you can. Played it wrong, but I don't know if it will matter because she's in such a good spot on that tribe. I did also when she's like, I'm 45. And Kyle was like, whoa, and then like he definitely caught himself and he was like, yeah, you probably live for a long time, I guess. Like, he was like, no shot. Like, you're 45, but then was like, oh, that would sound really shitty if I actually said that.
Yeah, for reference, Saul is 43.
That's
all I'm gonna say is good for Sue. I've had a lot of mean comments and thoughts in my head. All I'm going to say is good for Sue. Can't be easy playing out there when you're 58, passing as a 45-year-old.
There's a player on Big Brother last season who similarly lied about their age, and it was just like, okay, you don't like she was 45 and said she was like 30 or something, and it's like very clearly you're not. Like, also, it's fine. You can be 58 on Survivor. That's okay.
Maybe it's ignorance on my part because I'm obviously not 58, so I don't have to deal with like the ageism that I'm sure that a lot of older people have to deal with. But I feel like when it comes to Survivor, if anything, being older may be an advantage to you because kind of what she's doing to this point of like she's allowing people to underestimate her. So she can do these moves. I don't know why all of a sudden she's like, she needs to become a cool, hip 45-year-old.
I mean, we've talked in the past about like I think the statistic is like 60 plus or something like that, like 65 plus maybe. But so it wouldn't necessarily directly apply to her. But in the new era, 58 is old because the casts are very young. Where we've said like older people on Survivor who aren't immediately voted off in the first 2 or 3 rounds tend to last like towards the end game. Like it's kind of like it's like this weird like anti-bell curve where you're either voted off in the first like 3 rounds or you're in like the final 7, like, and there's nothing in the middle. So yeah, like I mean, yeah, if Sue survived the first 3 rounds, like historically she should be favored to go deep, and she doesn't need to like lie about her age. I guess like she probably did it already and is not kind of like locked in to the lie, but yeah, still I don't know.
Although when you look at the people that are voted out, 3 out of the 4 people voted out are 30 or older. So I don't know if Sue is necessarily running these logistics in her head, but that is, lots of older people being voted out.
It's just it really is like, you look at Saul and he like is only 43 and feels like a young 43, but you can tell he's like these fucking kids, like, and John on his tribe too was very similarly like just different enough in age to where it like was weird and uncomfortable. I feel like for him, but yeah, I think she's doing fine, and she survived a vote, so she's probably gonna go far. It's not her age isn't deterring her in any way. Though I do think like we don't need to necessarily have as young guests as we're doing these days. Like Survivor, when it was like more evenly distributed, was fine. It was good, even really good. So like I don't know if Jeff's like trying to raise his crop of new stars to like be on future seasons or what, but like having Boston Rob when he was like 23 or whatever, that paid off really well because he got to come back for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. Should we talk about the Yellow Tribe?
Yeah, let's talk about Gada. There's a couple interesting things here that I wanted to especially talk about. We obviously got. It's very. I feel like a lot of the strategy on this tribe we're seeing filtered like almost entirely through Sam's perspective, which I think. To me, indicates that Sam is going to be like a major player on the season, probably go far, maybe is the winner, right? Like, that's the kind of vibes I'm getting. Or at the very least, he's going to like if they go to another tribal council, be the main driver. So we have Trouble in Paradise with Sam and Sierra, and it kind of stems from this whole like Breadwinners Alliance name that's like kind of a joke, but kind of not a joke. It's like it's just enough not a joke that it matters. And yeah, so I guess like what are your guys' thoughts on Sierra 1 telling Andy that name, and then 2 like the kind of conversation spurs off of it between Sam finding out and then confronting Sierra? Because like I have a lot of thoughts, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts first.
Well, anytime Andy's involved and allowed to just be Andy, I'm a fan. Because I'm still kind of waiting, and I feel like it's eventually going to come of Andy's like Kaiser Soze moment where like he reveals that this is all part of his master plan. Because I feel like it has to be there because he's bumble butting his way through this whole game, which I love. You want to talk about redemption stories? If Andy finds a way to win this game, it will be the greatest comeback story since Jesus walking out of the tomb 3 days later or whatever it was. It's just it's. I love Andy. I go from the whole joking he's a serial killer where now I think he's just a socially inept a man, which is fine. We all know people like that in our life. But I love now that he's kind of just caught in the middle of all this. I can't say Andy's in the best position on his tribe, but I think he's potentially maybe in the like safest. Whereas he's like a trustworthy vote for Sam. He's like he's the what's the word the he's the not the floating vote. He's like he's the
George
deciding vote.
Costanza from Los
Yeah, he's like I love the spot he's in the sense that like I think we'll get a few more episodes out of him, which is great. But I don't know. So I feel like Sam's game's kind of falling apart right now. And I think he's another person that desperately just needs to get to the merge. So he's not kind of screwing himself up. Sierra, I understand the panic of all these other tribes saying, you know, we think that they're a boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know how that benefits you then starting to try to play both sides of Rachel and Annika and along with Sam and Andy. I don't know how that benefits her now because, you know, I guess is her plan now to vote out Sam altogether? Because I think that's the only way you can kind of shake that idea with everybody else if you get Sam out before the merge. I don't know. It's weird because I do think they're a semi-interesting tribe away from Tuku. They're not nearly as interesting as Lavo. I don't think either tribe is, but I don't know. I was really high on Sam when we did the first episode. I thought he really surprised me. But now I don't know. This tribe has just kind of turned into like the bumblebutt tribe. You know, tell Andy too much information. But Sam was the one that gave it all away that Andy told him, right? Or am I mixing up the two?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Blow by blow. Good that she's playing both sides to get all the information. Great. Bad to tell Andy and not Sam. If she does intend to go with Sam, which if she's telling Andy, I think she is going to go with Sam because why tell Andy at all if you're not planning to tell Sam? But bad to tell Andy before Sam. Sam is right that they should be in the driver's seat. You know, they were in the 4 of 6. Now they need to be in the 3 of 5. And then if they do pull that off, they'll be in the 3 of 4 and then in the 2 of 3. Like that's the optimal Onion alliance. He's totally right. I know it's probably annoying to have like a handsome, tall guy be like, this is what is right. And I'm telling you this. But if you could take the emotion out of it, he is correct. They should be the ones calling all the shots, controlling their own destiny in the game. I think we just need the missing piece of either a tribal council to happen to see where Sierra is, or for Sierra to have a confessional clearly saying, this is where I am. And if they don't go to tribal council before the merge, kind of still good for all of them, because then they never had to fracture this and no one's going to fracture off of them. They all in their head can convince themselves that like, I was actually in a good spot with my tribe. Like I like these guys. So those are all my opinions on what's happening. Ben, hopefully I covered everything you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I think that the one thing that I want to add is,
and Sam should have just kept it to himself and saw if she was going to tell him herself. If she's not, then he knows that he's not the long-term plan. But if he'd kept it to himself and then she tells him, he can be fairly confident that he is in the long-term plans. But now, kind of the worst of both worlds, because now she's mad at him for calling him out, and he doesn't really know where she stands.
Yep, 100%. That is exactly the point that I was going to bring up the most, which is like Sam confronting her. It accomplishes nothing. There are two options. Either she is playing him and is going to go with the girls, in which case all confronting her does is push her further away and also like show your hand that you're onto her, or is with you and this is just an oversight in her gameplay where she happened to tell Andy something before you, and it's not really that big of a deal. In which case, you are creating drama for nothing and potentially changing her mind about her working with you.
Yeah.
Like, there's no upside to confronting her other than like satisfying your own like ego.
And if she doesn't want to work with you, but she wants to tell Andy because all of a sudden she feels closer to Andy, now you've cut off Andy leaking stuff to you because she's not going to tell Andy stuff.
Yeah.
Which so I think Sam played that very wrong for no reason at all.
And like whether you have to wait until even a tribal council to know for sure, it doesn't matter for Sam to even wait because he has the idol and it's a one tribal idol. So either he is safe with the idol, or if he is really feeling like Sierra is going to like maybe go with the girls and try to like cut Andy off to like undermine him, he also has the option to play the idol on Andy and get like Annika or Rachel out. And then he's basically at that point strong-arming Sierra into working with them. And now he's in the fulcrum spot. And like, there's just like, I don't know. There was zero, I think that Sierra confiding in Andy, the alliance name, not good. Really, really unforced error. But I think that what Sam did confronting her was like 10 times worse.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And yeah, I agree. And unforced error, I don't know if that was a pun on Andy's or on his career, but I enjoyed it either way.
Mm-hmm. Now, after 4 episodes, I really hate to admit it, though. I do think, unfortunately, I still am committed to it. I think Teeny goes far. And I think Brian has unfortunately once again secured himself in first place. I don't see a great finish for me and Ben's picks, Sierra and Annika. I just don't at this point. But then again, you don't see a great path for Teeny at this point. So I don't know. I did just realize that we all chose female winners, though. I apologize. I don't know what Teeny identifies as. I believe it's they. I'm not sure. But regardless, I think that I think that Brian, you still have the best chance. I don't know. Annika, after that first episode, I feel like she kind of like just fell off the map in terms of. We had was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We had her, and Sam butting heads. She was, and then again, we only got this episode, we only got like a combined maybe like 5-10 minutes with this tribe this week. But
we saw her come up with the alliance name, right? She was the one pushing the like breadwinner thing. She got a confessional about that.
Great alliance name, for the record.
Love that. Better than most Big Brother alliance names, which were
I know it's so rare that we get a the last one I can really, what was the Mason-Dixon line? I don't think we needed that one, particularly from Nick.
What's Nick up to?
Nothing good. Let's move on.
I forget. Still got our right versus left season.
All right, they'll be coming back for that.
I think you would have a lot of returning players returning winners on the right, so I think Nick would be fit right now.
Yeah, probably a good amount actually of Survivor players.
Honestly, you get Gabler, you get Sarah Lucina in there. It's probably
Ben,
Mike Holloway.
Mike Holloway for sure.
Yeah.
Strategy, we never got Mike 2.0. I thought coming off of season 30, I was like, this man is a lock for being brought back.
Well, yeah, I think did he have health issues or something going into Winners at War?
Yeah, something. Yeah, he failed a physical for Game Changers, I think. And
understandable.
Yeah, what a run that one season. Anyways, sorry, completely derailed. We got to do it at least once an episode, right?
That was blue collar versus white collar versus
no collar, yeah.
Great, Rodney. Forgot it. Rodney's a wild card. We'll get on the right.
He's I don't even know. He's on his own island.
He fell down the QAnon.
Listen, I have a connection to get Rodney on the podcast. Should we ever want to flex it?
I've met Rodney. I went to a viewing party in Boston that he was at. I met him. He's He's pretty much exactly how he is in real life.
Hey,
So,
my
Your
sister
connection to it. Yeah.
my sister went to school with his niece, so we
Okay.
have that gateway. Should we decide to go down that path?
Super interesting. And the chaos side of me is like, let it rip. Let's absolutely bring him on free form. You can talk about
does
anything
he
you
even
want.
watch the show still?
The
I don't,
objective,
we don't
the
have to talk
objective,
about Survivor.
Sure.
we can,
the
you know?
objective journalist in me will welcome him on.
yeah, right. Right.
I'm a regular Joe Rogan of the
He's
of the
our
Survivor, of the
Alex
Survivor
Jones.
podcast world.
Yeah. Where Joe Rogan has Alex Jones on his podcast every now and then just to spice things up. Have Rodney on ours to tell us about internet.
I thought about contacting
vampires.
I've thought about contacting like a median and getting Keith on the podcast somehow. I think we can work that out.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus Christ.
We have options to two players now.
Yeah. Well, we're not that type of show. We could get some survivors on the show, I'm sure, but would they want to go on the show in their hearts? I don't know, and that's what's most important to me.
They see the Rodney and the Poltergeist episode. I think that they might want to.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right. Well, so Rome, the worst puzzle performance of all time, right? Like,
I mean, objectively, yeah. I mean,
can't get worse.
When it's a 500-piece puzzle and he gets 0, I think that's objectively the worst. Yeah.
I know this is a big topic. Did you think that he threw that personally at first glance?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
at first glance, yeah, but then he didn't say he did. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I still think there's a possibility he did, but he just didn't want to admit that he did. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like anybody who's not brain damaged would get at least 1 piece. I don't know.
Eddie from Caramoan got 1 piece on the fire puzzle. So
I mean, look, it was literally color. It's like color coordination. He was trying to put pieces that were like entirely yellow on a base that was entirely red. Like, I don't.
He just
like I don't know.
Although it's like the nightmare scenario where like you wake up and you're back in school, you don't have like the answers to the test. That's like my nightmare Survivor scenario is being forced to doing a puzzle and just like not even getting 1 piece.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay at puzzles. I would never be the person who volunteers to do a puzzle in Survivor. But I've succeeded and failed during puzzles in front of crowds, in LRGs, and it's not fun to fail, but it really looks like he just had no conceptual idea of like how any piece could possibly fit together. Like, it was very impressive if he really didn't throw it, that he just was like just sticking random pieces next to it and like, this is just so clearly wrong. I don't know what you're doing.
I feel like you could like pluck an alien who'd never even heard of a puzzle before out of like off of Mars and put them on this puzzle and they'd get 1 piece just incidentally.
Yeah, it was perplexing, but credit for Jeff for cutting a promo on it immediately afterwards. Like, love that Jeff is back in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he definitely is like a very like, I want to be the hero, even if it means I'm the GOAT. Like, I'll take the good with the bad, which credit to him. He did great last week. Not good this week, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if that's the case then, right? Because like he didn't do the puzzle last week, right? It was, I think it was Asia and Keyshawn, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they didn't do it. They also failed. So like, maybe the like, why has Saul not done the puzzle? Like, he seemed to like pretty clearly know what was going on with the. He was giving his color commentary in the background. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he hasn't done it. You would think Maybe he was exhausted by the time he got there. He was probably instrumental in pushing that giant block of wood around. But I also think if Rome would have been like, I'll tap out, he would have gone in. But Rome just was like, no, like I'm doing this. And also hilarious to be like, I'm going to be given puzzle pieces. Like one, the least efficient way to possibly do a puzzle. You're cutting out half of the people looking at pieces. And like that's really funny to me that he decided to do it that way.
Yeah. Everything about it was as inefficient as humanly possible. Like even when he was checking the pieces, like it's usually pretty obvious when you look at a piece whether there's like a part on it that could potentially fit. And like he's just like he's like slowly rotating the piece, like boom, boom, like trying every degree angle, all 360-degree angles of the puzzle piece against the base for every piece one by one. It's like
that's what I'm saying is like you said, you can look at a lot of these pieces and be like, nope, that doesn't fit. That's not right. This is like, an edge.
It's completely wrong color.
Yeah. At one point, he was trying to put the fire edge on that. And it's like, this is very clearly the edge of the puzzle. What are you doing? Yeah. I don't know.
That's what it is. It was funny. I mean, it was perplexing, but funny.
Yeah. So. Oh man, but I guess all we really have left is that tribal, and Rome made up for it, and pulling off a hilarious moment at tribal and stealing the vote from Keyshawn, and just like it has to suck to get blindsided, but this might suck more to like have to, he's blindsided in the moment it's stolen, and then he just has to sit there and wait for it to happen.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
Oh yeah, you're getting your vote stolen. It's like GG's. I'll just grab my torch now, Jeff. Like, do we have to do the formality of this or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say because a lot of it plays out, during when we're back at camp. Yeah, I like Keyshawn. I think that he flew too close to the sun in this episode, and that's what happens. I think he was very good. He was a good pre-merge player, a good piece to have there to kind of set the stone for the rest of the season. So I'm not necessarily sad to see Keyshawn go. I would have been fine if he stayed in. Like I said, I really would have liked the Rome blindside and the fallout from that, but we get our kind of next alpha dog with Genevieve there, which is great. And I think, I'm like so excited just for the rest of the season. I'm past the point now, where we get these promos for, the big reveals or the big surprise next week. It's no longer a point of dread for me, where now it's just like, oh God, like what are they going to do now? What are they going to try to shoehorn and force into this game? Now I'm genuinely like, I'm excited to see what this twist will be. And I just have faith, in this cast to just deliver the entertainment. So
interesting. A twist we've never heard of before. What could it be? I don't know. I'm hoping just as, something that ends in a swap, honestly, to two tribes, but it'll probably be dumb for sure. Almost certainly, right?
I think at the very least it's going to be like overly convoluted for no reason.
Yeah. This is the feeling that I get on Wednesday nights during Big Brother when Julie's like, and we're going to throw a new twist out next week and it's going to be horrible because like 95% of our twists are ill-conceived, like game derailing twists. But you know what? AI Arena this season on Big Brother, fucking awesome. So maybe this will be good. Maybe I'm hyping myself back up now. And this can possibly be good.
Yeah, this is a season of good reality TV. So
right, yeah, right.
Or is this a year? I mean, of good reality TV. It's 46 was really good. The season of Big Brother has been really good. The season so
Deal
far.
or No Deal Island, awesome, really fun. The Traitors, solid as always.
House of Villains season 2 just started. I've heard that's the first episode was really solid. So
I'm assuming the Challenge 40 is fun for fans of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard decent things about the Summit. I've never I haven't watched it, but I've heard.
Mhm.
Okay
Dude, I
things.
watched the first episode and it was good, like for sure. It was like very compelling reality TV. But I was like, I could not think of a reality show I would want to go on less than this. Like they're really climbing a mountain and like having to haul ass and hike and like carry gear and stuff. And it's like, no fucking way would I want to be on this show. Like I feel bad because I know those 16 people auditioned for Survivor and got offered this instead. Like I guarantee that's where they pulled these players from.
Yeah,
and like that is not Survivor. This is my worst nightmare. I would do solitary before I would do the Summit.
yeah.
Man. And solitary is just a torture show. Like, but no, I would just get out. One guy had to get medevaced during the hike. They didn't even get to the mountain yet. And I was like, no, honestly, that would be me. Honestly, I would just say that I can't breathe and I need to leave actually. If I knew that this was the conceit of the show. I'm not like I have nightmares about climbing mountains. Horrible.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I haven't watched an episode of it yet. I understand the conceit of it. And I would probably be among the last shows that I would want to be on for sure.
Like I always think of like those videos where people are crawling through caves and like they're really tight, and I'm like, oh, that freaks me out. That would be so horrible to be in that position. But it's like I can just avoid that by never going into a cave. I can just avoid my nightmares of being stuck on a mountain by just not doing that. Like, but good luck to everyone on the Summit. One of you are going to win, like, because if a player quits, they take their portion of the $1 million. One of you is going to win a fresh $145,000 out of this. And, that sucks to me.
Damn.
Yeah. Anything else? I'm really excited. Speaking of, I'm really excited for Australia versus the world. I didn't get spoiled yet, though I know the spoilers are out there. Ben, I know you got spoiled. I'm sorry. That sucks.
Oh, yeah. I'm mega spoiled.
Yeah.
I saw literally the entire boot list top to bottom.
Well, it might still be a fun show to watch because there's so many good characters, but that's
I'm sure it'll be very fun,
I'm a little disappointed by the 14 days, whatever it is, 2 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't affect it too much. Like, it's still going to be Survivor at the end of the day. Like,
was it just one person gets voted out every day?
Probably.
Yeah, it's also a 14-person cast, so like, I don't think the rounds would be like it'll probably be like one boot every day or two, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not significantly faster than like a normal modern season of Survivor, which is like 18 over 26 days. Like that's kind of like one every like 1.5 versus one every like 1 in a fifth maybe.
If this is what they had to do to get like that cast, it's totally fine for me. I got like all the Australian players are awesome and are gonna be like super entertaining if you're watching it for the first time. And then fucking Tony, Parv, and Suri. Like that's so sick. That's like what more could you ask for, And I heard the girl who won the New Zealand Survivor season 2 is like an amazing player also, and she's on this. Like that's great. I'm really sad I watched the first season of New Zealand Survivor and it was literally the worst fucking piece of shit I've ever watched. And I didn't watch the second one and I can't find a way to watch it now. But that one's apparently really good. And then it just never got any more seasons after that. Yeah. I also saw the UK version get canceled again. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we clowned on the UK's like their tribal immunity looking like it was cobbled together by like a middle school art class. So
yeah. And what else is there for reality? I saw Josh from BB19's on a new show, Spanish show. That's very fun. I gotta say, props to him. Always booked and busy, man. Always like in something. Like he really is like the biggest winner of a horrible season of Big Brother.
I know. Deal or No Deal Island season 2 cast dropped and has Dr. Will and Parv on it. Parv, like basically, she's not saying no to anything at this point. She's been on the Trader season 2. She's on this now. She's on Australia versus the World. I'm sure CBS is like has her on speed dial for season 50 if she says yes to that. So we'll see.
Yeah, great. And David from Australian Survivors on that, and going to be on Australia versus. That's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, well, I wonder what the order of the filming is, because if Parv and David were on both, like
it was Deal or No Deal Island first, and now.
Okay.
Yeah, so very interesting. Dylan, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Listen, I'm going to plug this solar storm that's going on over the New England tonight. By the time you listen to this, it's going to be too late. But I just got an alert for that, so apparently that's happening. My Star Wars TikTok rating video went exactly as planned. People are telling me to never make a list again, and I'm a piece of shit. So I got that going for myself.
Hey man, that's the internet. It sucks, but it's not you. Don't worry. People are fucking mean.
Oh, don't worry. That's why I made the list. No. Follow me on Twitter, DJ Cleverlang. That's all you need to follow me on. As always,
that's your TikTok too, right?
TikTok as well. Yeah, follow me there. Follow Brian. Follow Brian on all his stuff. Brian's been working very, very hard with everything he does. It's great. I really enjoy it.
So hard. Yeah, to try to.
I've been enjoying all that. So you go ahead and plug that. I will really I always say I really want to start doing more.
Yes, whenever you have time, I'm ready. So please go check out first this channel, Better Radio. Subscribe to it. We got the Blindsiders. I love the show. It's like, so fun to talk about Survivor with you guys every week. I got the House of the Dragon, Song of Ice and Fire podcast. Just recorded a new episode with Ryan talking about some more potential shows that they're doing that should be out next week. Got the new channel, Those Fake Nerds, where I post mostly shorts, but I try to do like once every week or so, like a longer episode there. Again, that was the conceit of We Could Get Everything, and then it became its own channel now. We Get Everything's the main channel. We have TikToks, We Could Get Sports, as well as YouTube, We Could Get Sports, and there's almost too much stuff happening here. And I'm sure there'll be more. I want to potentially, do some stream watch-alongs of games and have everyone who can, pop in and, watch games along with people. So follow our Twitch channel. And, one day Ben will get back to Ben trying to teach me how to play Hearthstone. Very fun. But
new set just got announced today. This drops on November 5th. So
yes. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I just got to find the time. I was going to find the time to put those college football TikToks out that I was doing really consistently and getting a lot of views on. And then I just stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. Ben, anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, you just Ben Sharon on Twitter. It's that's pretty much it. I still barely use Twitter. I'll go on and post maybe a couple times a week, if that. I'll probably be on there talking about, we have 2 episodes of Big Brother left, one in half an hour, and then the finale is on Sunday. So I'm sure I'll be on there on Sunday talking about the finale, where we're likely seeing Chelsea win the season, but you never know.
Congrats, Chelsea, in advance for probably winning Big Brother.
Look, we've congratulated winners preemptively in the past, and they have lost. So
it's funny to do, though.
It's funny to do. Yes.
Then it doesn't work out.
Yeah, it is. Which is annoying because Chelsea was on my short list preseason.
I know.
And I was like, man, it's literally throwing to pick a woman to win Big Brother right now with the way that they're creating cops and structuring their game. And then this season they just decided to fix it. which is awesome. Really, really good. And so one of the contributing factors why the season was so good was they like finally fixed their format after 5 fucking years. But like that, me being jaded at them ever fixing their game stopped me from picking the likely winner. So and I instead picked a free jury boot. So
yeah, same, exactly what Ben said. Though I did love Joseph; he was very fun.
The Giants winner pick is still in, and probably going to be in like if he doesn't get evicted tonight, he's in the final 3. So
yeah, he won the draft 2 months ago.
By like a month and a half ago. Yeah.
What was I gonna say there? Oh yeah, hopefully they'll announce Buddy Games 2 or Reindeer Games, whatever. It's not Buddy Games. That was a different show that did not come back for season 2. Hopefully Reindeer Games season 2 will be announced on Sunday. And other than that, thank you all so much for listening. We will see you in the next one.